أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إن هذا القرآن يهدي للتي هي أقوم ويبشر المؤمنين الذين يعملون الصالحات أن لهم أجرا كبيرا وأن الذين لا يؤمنون بالآخرة أعتدنا لهم عذابا أليما ويدعو الإنسان بالشر دعاءه بالخير وكان الإنسان عجولا وجعلنا الليل والنهار آيتين فمحونا آية الليل وجعلنا آية النهار مبصرة لتبتغوا فضلا من ربكم ولتعلموا عدد السنين والحساب وكل شيء فصلناه تفصيلا وكل إنسان ألزمناه طائره في عنقه ونخرج له يوم القيامة كتابا يلقاه منشورا اقرأ كتابك كفى بنفسك اليوم عليك حسيبا من اهتدى فإنما يهتدي لنفسه ومن ضل فإنما يضل عليها ولا تزر وازرة وزر أخرى وما كنا معذبين حتى نبعث رسولا. صدق الله العظيم.
Jazakallah khairan. MashaAllah, tabarakallah. Brother Samir, can you share in the chat the verses that you recited, inshallah ta'ala? And I'm going to ask someone to please read them in English so that way we can reflect on these ayat, inshallah ta'ala.
Allah.
Go ahead, inshallah ta'ala. And do I have a brave volunteer who'd like to read the English translation? We're going to ask anyone except for Jen because she has a B situation. So I just want to make sure she's safe. Well, you're on mute. You're on mute still.
Yep.
Okay.
I don't know where it went.
Okay.
So I think we're okay for now. Thank you.
Okay. No problem. No, safety comes first.
Okay.
All right.
I'm happy to read it if you like.
Okay. Actually, yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead,
Sure.
Brother Simon, please put in the chat the ayat, inshallah ta'ala, and I'll go ahead and share on the screen as well.
Will it be up on the screen?
Sure, we can put it up on the screen.
In English, I'm just gonna.
What? Yeah. Akhi Samir, just the ayah, what surah and what ayat?
So this is Surah Al-Isra from ayah 9 to ayah 15.
I got you. No problem. Here we go. All right, Sister Jen, you are going live. Here we go. Can you see my screen?
Oh gosh. Okay.
Does that do any bigger?
Where do I start at?
Oh, right here.
Okay, so do I read that one and then read the one under it all the way through?
Yeah, just read the English translation, correct. Just one of them is fine.
Just one of them?
Yeah,
okay,
so these are two different, these are two different translations. You can just read the first line or first section.
Okay. Surely this Quran guides to what is most upright and gives good news to the believers who do good, that they will have a mighty reward. And it warns those who do not believe in the hereafter that we have prepared for them a painful punishment. And humans swiftly pray for evil as they pray for good, for humankind is ever hasty. We made the day and night as two signs. So we made the sign of the night devoid of light, and we made the sign of the day perfectly bright, so that you may see the bounty of your Lord and know the number of years and calculation of time. And we have explained everything in detail. We have bound every human's destiny to their neck, And on the day of judgment, we will bring forth to each person a record which they will find laid open. And it will be said, read your record. You alone are sufficient this day to take account of yourself. Whoever chooses to be guided, it is only for their own good. And whoever chooses to stray, it is only to their own loss. No soul burdened with sin will bear the burden of another. And we would never punish a people until we have sent a messenger to warn them.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Thank you. I am very excited to introduce this next speaker, Dr. Sharif. He's an expert in Islamic thought, focused on theology, law, and jurisprudence, as well as the Arabic language, including classical Arabic literature and poetry. And as a participant in last cohort, I just really appreciate the patient way that he teaches. He teaches with a lot of clarity and was very generous with his time in answering questions, especially during the Q&As, like Ahmed said. And I just personally really appreciate his instruction from the last cohort. He helped me immensely. So without further ado, Dr. Sharif.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. How is everyone doing this evening? Well, I hope, inshallah. It's great to be with this new cohort of Project 100. I think this is our fifth cohort, maybe our sixth?
Sixth cohort.
Sixth, mashallah.
Yeah,
okay, good, mashallah. So it's great to be back with another cohort of bright, young, enthusiastic Muslim young people and middle-aged people and people of all ages, alhamdulillah, who are coming to learn more about the deen. So my segment of this program, it basically focuses on questions of Islam and modernity and a lot of the tensions and conflicts that come up for Muslims in the modern world. I think we all are aware of such tensions because we're all Muslims and we all live in the modern world. And we know that on many different levels, there are many questions that come up, many issues that come up, where we sometimes have a great deal of trouble explaining certain aspects of Islam to other people who ask us questions about it, like non-Muslims. We also sometimes, to be frank, have trouble explaining to ourselves certain aspects about Islam. We might question ourselves, why does Islam say this? Why that? You know, we have certain assumptions, certain, you know, things that we take for granted. And then sometimes we look and we find that what Islam teaches might not coincide with that. And so we are confused as to how we can reconcile some of these conflicts. And so I have, you know, the best way, I think, or one of the best ways that we can go about tackling these kinds of challenges as Muslims is to just take a step back and look at what it means, what is our worldview? Because basically, as Muslims in the modern world, we are negotiating two very different paradigms or very different ways of looking at the world. As Muslims, we have certain beliefs, certain things that we hold true to about the world in all sorts of different domains. You know, what kinds of things exist, what knowledge is, what a human being is, what is right and wrong, and how do we get knowledge of ethics and morals, all of these different things. You know, Islam sort of gives us a very specific paradigm, a very specific way of understanding the world that comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and from the revelation brought by his messenger, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But at the same time, we're living in a world that is not really of our own making. We're living in a world that is dominated by different culture and a different society that used to have a worldview that was much closer to ours because it was based in traditional Christianity, which, although there are obviously, you know, theological and other differences with Islam, nevertheless, the two share actually a lot of basic assumptions and basic starting points. But the modern world, you know, defines itself largely by its secularity and its turn away from religion and its turn away from revelation and its turn away from transcendence and its adoption of a kind of materialistic, this worldly perspective on the universe. And so that's a very, very different starting point. And we often again, as Muslims, now this modern paradigm has become dominant, certainly here in the West, which is the home of this paradigm, but also because of the global reach of Western civilization, first through colonialism, and today through kind of neo-colonialism and just modern media, right, which is Western produced and Western dominated, and the entire world is consuming it. We constantly find ourselves, sort of caught between these two distinct worldviews. And because they're starting from very different assumptions and very different presuppositions, the results, if you start with a particular set of premises and then you look at the entailments of it and what flows from it, they're going to be very different if you start with different roots. If you have an apple tree and an orange tree, they have different roots, different DNA, so to speak. So you're going to get two different trees with two different fruits and two different looking things. And so similarly, we find ourselves in that situation, and a lot of times questions arise, and we just kind of pull our hair out and don't really know, how can I negotiate this issue? How can I answer this question satisfactorily? And often the best way to do that is to take a step back and to look at what are the deep assumptions that are underlying it at the root. And so we're going to get into different facets of this kind of worldview, lens through which to analyze these issues. And we will be unfolding and unpacking, what a worldview is, what are the different components of a worldview. We will be looking at, in the different components of a worldview, we will be comparing our worldview as Muslims, so the Islamic worldview, with kind of the dominant modern secular worldview. Of course, each, especially in the modern period, you do have a lot of different ideas floating around, a lot of philosophies, some of which oppose each other, but we're just talking about the very, very basic kind of core assumptions that draw the entire modern project together, and that kind of transcends the differences that may arise in it. So obviously we're going to be looking just at a very large picture, but I think it'll help to appreciate a lot of the questions that come up for us that are based on particular assumptions that it really helps us to look at. So before we get into that, as I said, we're going to be unpacking that over the course of this series of lectures. And for tonight, so what we will be doing is that I have pre-recorded in other contexts some of the basic material that unpacks what a worldview is. And you will be watching from week to week clips and segments of previous talk that I have given, where I unpack this. And when we come together in these live sessions, we will have more of a participatory and more of an interactional exchange between us. This is a bit different from how we've done it in the past. In the past, I've basically just lectured for 35 minutes and then taken 5 minutes of questions. And we're trying to move to a format now where we can get a lot more group participation, especially since the group is fairly reasonable in size, and so it can accommodate that. So today what we would like to do, right, just kind of to test the waters and sort of break the ice a little bit, is to start by just asking, and I think you can see on the screen, can they see this, Ahmed?
You guys should be able to see this. I put the link, do you guys see that? The link in there, you should click on it, and then it will give you access to ask or answer the question that is there. And then if it's not working, here's the code right up here. So both of those should work. But go ahead, Dr. Sharif.
Yeah, so if you can just click on that link and then get into this site. So basically, everyone can just participate. You can type in. So we just want to get a sense, get everything out on the table. What are the kinds of questions or issues that tend to come up that you have some trouble answering for other people? So people of other faiths or no faith, like non-Muslims, right? So, okay, Prophet Muhammad's marriage to Aisha, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Okay, good. Keep going. That comes up a lot. So the age of Aisha, basically. Can they just type in?
Okay.
That's what I was thinking. I have another question. Okay, hijab, polygyny, arranged marriage. Okay, so women's issues, hijab, polygyny. LGBT, yep. Justifying the unseen world. I like that, justifying, right? And that's very important. So the unseen world is part of what we call ontology, and you'll be hearing about this, i.e. what exists, do unseen realities exist or not? And then justifying that is a question of epistemology. How do we know, right? So those are two very fundamental aspects of anybody's worldview. What are the kinds of entities that you presume to exist? And then what is your conception of knowledge? So this is a very good one. Amount of wives, so again, polygyny and age, okay. LGBT again, yep. Cultural values which have integrated into Islam was essentially Islamic. Okay, so Islam versus culture and how those, what are the dividing lines? Okay. Absolute truth versus relativity, good. Yeah, we talk about modernity, but we live in a postmodern age, right? Which is sort of post-truth. Why don't women shake hands with men? And why don't men shake hands with women, right? It's not just women not shaking hands, right? I like it when they say that, they don't shake hands with men. Well, men don't shake hands with women either. Okay, so again, another kind of gender issue, gender interactions, confusion about who the prophet, peace be upon him, is and how he pertains to us. Okay, so maybe like, is he a Jesus figure? Do we worship him? Maybe that's what this question is, yeah. Understanding both Allah's mercy and wrath, okay. So theological, yep. Women's rights, yep. Why can't you be friends with the opposite gender, okay. Comparison of Isa alayhi salam and Christianity versus Islam, okay. So another kind of theological prophetology here. Women are viewed as lesser than men, okay. So a gender issue. Explain why we don't date. Okay, so there's a huge wall when trying to explain to teens these days. Okay, do you mean Muslim teens or non-Muslim teens? Whoever wrote that. Why Muslim women can only marry Muslim men versus Muslim men being able to marry women. Okay, so again, a gender-related issue. Yeah. Okay, different sects in Islam, Sunni, Shia, so forth. Sufi, Salafi, the different trends. Yeah. Okay. Okay, good. So that gives us a good idea, the Taliban and how their actions fit or not with Islam. Okay, so political movements. I guess that's a question to the teens.
Muslim teens. Okay, Muslim teens. Okay, good.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, Muslims. Okay.
Multiple wives. So again, so gender and sexuality issue. Okay, great. Black American Muslims and immigrant Muslims, as well as other cliques within Islam. Okay, so divisions within the Muslim community, maybe racism within the community. Okay, so good. So these are questions that we kind of have trouble answering other people when they ask us these. What about, so the next question, Ahmed, I don't know if you want to flip to it.
Yeah.
Do you have a,
yeah, one
so
sec. No,
the next question, is just an extension of this. Like, so what are the questions that you have trouble answering for yourself? In other words, forget about other people asking you, but the question, questions that arise for you as a Muslim or in your immediate kind of environment, Muslim environment particularly, but maybe just for you. Again, this is like a safe space. We're here just to, I mean, if people didn't have questions and doubts, it would be very unusual because again, we're all bombarded with like two very different perspectives on things, and it's inevitable that there would be clashes and that those would raise, concerns and doubts and kind of unrest in the heart. And we want to be able to get to the bottom of that, which is why we're doing this. So yeah, so go ahead, just like before, go ahead and type away questions that, you have trouble answering for yourself, that should say, but that's okay. Anyone?
Yeah, and again, guys, same link. The vote. Okay, here we go. Cool.
Okay, where do I fit as a revert and as a woman? Okay. Racism in the Muslim community. Okay.
Wait, hi, Assalamu alaikum. How is this question different from the last one?
Well, the last one, I mean, it's the same question, but the last one was, questions that you are asked by non-Muslims that you feel confident in
gotcha.
yourself in the Islamic position, but you just kind of have trouble communicating it to others.
Versus my own confusion.
This is like, what questions do I myself have, or doubts, or things that I'm not settled with myself,
Okay.
as a Muslim, as opposed to
that's
like,
clear.
I know zina is haram and whatever, and alcohol, and I don't know how to explain it to my like dorm mates or something, right? That's a bit different. So
Okay,
keeping
thank
family
you.
ties in a toxic or abusive situation. Okay. Okay, so again, the age of Aisha. Yep. LGBTQ. Yep. Okay. Why Islamic culture is so pervasive in the Muslim community, why many Muslims do not see that they are adhering more to culture than to Islam in regards to interactions and actions. Okay. The concept of urf, so again, it's a culture basically, or custom, and to what degree being an American influence is my application of Islam in matters which are not clearly defined in the Quran. So that's sort of the flip side of the previous question. I think the previous question, why is there so much culture in Islam? Usually people, especially children of immigrants, right, which probably many people here are, the question is, why is our parents' culture from back home, or the perception is that the culture from back home is kind of influencing the understanding or practice of Islam. And this question is kind of the other side. Okay, but as American Muslims, we also have a culture too, right? So in what ways might our American culture be influencing our interpretation or application of Islam in legitimate and also maybe non-legitimate ways, right? Okay, I am getting Islamically divorced, unexpected and painfully aware of my lack of knowledge, how a woman navigates a situation versus how the Muslim man. Okay, so a lot of lived reality questions I see here, which makes sense. The divide in Islam, the divide, so singular. So is this like the Sunni Shia divide? That's the major one, but there are other divisions too, but it's the singular. So I'm assuming that's what's meant here. That's it? Oh, okay. Proper co-ed relations amongst Muslim men and women. Okay.
It's like we're flying through these. All right.
Women's position, rights, and rules versus in Islam versus men's. Okay. Yep. So a lot of gender issues. Why do you have to listen to parents as an adult? Okay. So family relations. How much do I have to tie my camel? Am I suffocating my camel? Good question. That's very witty. Why are good Christians, non-Muslims doomed to hell? Good question. So theological. Explaining conversion to Christian family members. Okay. Why would you join this crazy cult? Any others?
Wow, mashallah,
Okay.
46 questions, Dr. Sharif, mashallah.
Let's go for 50. Let's get 4 more.
4 more, guys. Can we do 4 more?
We can do it.
Let's see here.
Well, okay, that's fine. 46 is good.
Oh, okay.
To what degree is violence justified? Okay.
All right.
Okay, great.
Okay.
All right, so great. So a lot of these questions, there's actually a lot of, there was some differentiation between the questions that people have trouble answering to non-Muslims and questions that people have themselves, but there are also some overlaps, especially on gender and sexuality issues, which is not surprising because we live in a time where sort of gender and sexuality, especially in the last 50 years, have become really, really, prominent topics of discussion, and they're constantly spoken of, and very strong positions are taken on them in very specific positions in our current environment, and those are undergirded by very specific set of premises also, and so it's not at all surprising that we'd have a lot of questions on this. Okay, good. So in the remaining time, and again, this is just, kind of an introductory session to sort of get the juices flowing, get our feet wet a little bit here. So okay, now you can, unmute yourself and answer orally. Pick a question, one of these questions, either one that you typed in or that someone else typed in, and how do you go about answering it? Maybe let's start with the first category, like questions that a non-Muslim might ask you. that you feel, let's, for the time being, let's take questions that we feel pretty confident ourselves or pretty comfortable ourselves with Islam on the issue, but we just kind of have trouble explaining it to non-Muslims, right? So like, I understand this issue, I'm okay with it. It's not a personal doubt for me, but when my friend asks me, roommate asks me, I feel like, yeah, they kind of live in a different world than I do sometimes. And so it's just hard to kind of get this point across. So let's, so someone want to kind of volunteer, like, what question have you been asked that you've, kind of stumbled your way through, have trouble answering, and you're not sure if that's the best way, and how did you deal with it? Sister Aisha Crawford, I saw you unmute.
I did. Assalamu alaikum, and thank you.
Wa alaikum salam.
Well, one question that has continually been a point of contention between people around me who are non-Muslim uniformly is how can you not accept LGBTQ while maintaining a view on human rights? Like the view that I hold, of course, as a person, is that we need to protect all human rights. Everyone needs to have their basic rights fulfilled. How can you have that view and not support gay people's right to openly be gay and get married and etc.? Excuse me if I'm not using politically correct words. And to that I would say that, of course, we're practicing a tradition that dates back all the way to the beginning of humanity. And if humanity had been perverted and had not been able to continue it at the earliest humans, we wouldn't be alive today. So if everyone was LGBTQ at that time, at the beginning of humanity, we would no longer exist as a species. And so obviously something that biologically ends family lines, if you, there's ways around that now, but anyway, there are biological as well as theological reasons, but as Muslims, we're the same people that we may not say we didn't vote to pass Prop 8 and allow gay people to get married, but if someone was gay bashing, we would be the first person to stop them, hopefully, because we do support all human rights, but that the right to fulfill your sexuality, if it's perverted, it's comparable to the way that a non-Muslim person who's okay with LGBTQ would see a child molester. Like, they wouldn't want them to fulfill that perverted desire. And while we can't really conflate those two issues, it's something that morally in our religion, we know with certainty it is a perversion. And so if there's, we have to kind of balance the desire to protect all people's rights, but is sexual fulfillment really a human right?
So you're particularizing that, you're interrogating the notion of human rights, right? And contesting whether the going kind of conception is truly universal the way it's often presented as, right? And you're making a distinction between certain rights that we might, protect, and other claimed rights that we might not concede as being legitimate rights. Right. Okay. And how has that answer gone over?
It's ended in multi-hour discussions multiple times for me, but at the end of the day, you can't really, because I'm unwilling to, like, my family will say that it's as though I'm a racist. Like, it to them, it's as though I am a racist or something really, I'm against gay people or LGBTQ people. And once I put out that argument, you can see really clearly that I'm not against those people. I'm for protecting the safety, the psychological development of the younger generation. And I think that
And have
you
people
know,
been
like,
convinced by that, or they've kind of accepted, okay, like we don't
they're
agree with you, but like we
accepting,
understand sort of where you're coming from. We don't think you're kind of
yeah,
just,
accepting where I'm coming from and seeing that it's not Islam is against or discriminating against that population.
okay, okay, good, thank you. So other questions or other questions and that people have faced and the ways that they've tried to answer?
We got time for one more, Dr. Sharif, and then
Okay,
I know there, and we're trying to see if we can jot down all of the questions and try to answer them as we move along, inshallah ta'ala.
mhm.
And thank you very much, Sister Aisha. Anyone else would like to unmute their mic and go ahead and ask their question or answer it? at
I
least?
also try to approach it as like with regards to like transgender folks and like queer people. I also try to address it that like I feel like my actions and like being kind is more important than my like particular beliefs on like what I think is okay and not okay, like sexually. And for me, this is particularly a difficult issue for me because unfortunately, one of my very close friends in high school, it's been like 8 years now, but they ended up committing suicide because they were transgender and they felt like, you know, they just didn't feel comfortable with themselves, and that is like a real reality that, you know, that does happen, you know, to folks with this orientation.
Mhm.
So that is kind of difficult because I don't know, it's really hard for me because I know like what could potentially happen without acceptance and without love is that does happen. And I don't think that, you know, Islam would want that for the people, you know, who feel this way, that they would just feel so depressed and unloved that, you know, they would do that. So it's not, I don't really have an answer, but it's just something that I'm struggling with, and maybe people can relate to. Maybe they like have a friend or they, you know, they know someone, and yeah, so like that personal experience, it is just very hard for me to navigate that issue.
Transgenderism specifically.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I mean, and like LGBTQ also, because I have that like really personal experience of
Yeah.
someone like doing that because they felt like they weren't accepted. So it's just difficult for me, like what's the line of like acceptance and respect, but also like where does my faith come in and like that boundary. So just
Okay.
adding to that conversation with my like personal experience.
Great. Okay. Jazakumullah khairan for that. And very sorry, as Brother Ahmed has said, you know, to hear about you having to go through that experience and losing someone who's close to you. That's a very difficult experience, and obviously one that's very personal, and you know, and that would be something that would, you know, that's something that you would have to come to terms with. Great. Thank you for that. So are we out of time, Ahmed?
Yeah, we have to
Okay.
transition, inshallah ta'ala. But Dr. Sharif, tell them what's more to come, inshallah ta'ala, because I'm really excited to hear this new layout, inshallah.
So yes, so Ahmed is helping me edit the talk that I gave before that goes into the different components of a worldview. So he and I will be in touch with each other in order to, you know, decide on the kind of snippets, I don't know if that's the right word, or excerpts that you should listen to. So between now and the next time, you will be asked to listen to, you know, part of a lecture in order to get more of a background, you know, in this worldviews thing. And each week we will be looking at a different component of what constitutes a worldview. And if you don't understand what that means right now, when you watch the first kind of introductory video on it, you will understand, because I go into that. Like I already said a little bit, ontology, what exists, you know, epistemology, what is knowledge, you know, anthropology, what is a human being, morals and ethics. Like these are kind of the big buckets, you know, the big sort of categories that we want to look at, because our way of answering all of those big questions and the way the modern world sort of answers them are, again, they're coming in from very, very different perspectives and different paradigms. And most of the issues that come up, really result from those differences at a very basic level. So that's what we want to explore. So yeah, the plan will be that you will do a lot of the, that you will be exposed to the main concepts between sessions. And then during the sessions, we will, I might say a few words about the main concepts in the beginning, but then we'll try to kind of unpack them as a group and look at applications, right? What kind of questions come up that deal with this particular issue, and how can we answer those for ourselves and for others? So that's what we're trying to do. So that requires, however, that when you do get the link saying, please watch, the attached video, 30 minutes of it or whatever for the next time, it really presupposes that people actually watch it, take notes, and kind of come prepared with questions and prepare to engage, inshallah. Because if no one watches it, I'll just have to give the lecture all over again, and then we won't be able to have this format.
Jazakallah khairan, Dr. Sharif. Thank you so much again. I wanted to, just before we transition, inshallah ta'ala, to kind of tie everything together. First off, I want to thank you all for actively participating, having your cameras on and being focused. Saturday night, you could be doing a lot of stuff, but being here, I think, is a highlight for a lot of people. With that being said, I wanted to just take a couple moments to go over a couple ideas. Before I even do that, alhamdulillah, we have a lot of people here today. And we have a lot of speakers that are going to come in and out every single Saturday. So I ask you that you guys come focused. You guys do whatever you need to do to be prepared. And then also to be engaged every Saturday. I will tell you this, that the content that we're going to cover, it's very unique. And the style that we're going to go about it is going to be very different. And it's in an effort to give you guys the tools to address problems in the world today, or to navigate discussions that might have been hard. And I want you guys, as some people were sharing their personal stories, to realize that hopefully after this program, that you, like Imam Muhammad Abu Talib and Dr. Sharif, you individually will have that access to make a difference in someone's life. You guys will be the messenger of the messenger, Sayyidina Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And I firmly believe that if we give it our best effort, that we will make the most out of this. And if you guys come prepared, that the people that you touch their lives, you'll make a great impact to them. So let us just in the chat make a promise. Say, I promise. That's all you got to say, that you will show up every week on time and ready to go. Can we just light that chat up, please? I know some of you guys are excited. They want to commit. Ahmed, I got you. So let's see here who's going to be the first. MashaAllah, Hamdi, Allah barik fiki. I promise. Hiba, Allah barik fiki. Sister Nia, Malika, Orenda, Sadira, J. Patterson, Curry, I don't know how to pronounce that. I'm sorry. Jacqueline, Allah barik fikum, Ya Rab. Walter, Jazakallah khairan. All right. Aaron, salam alaikum. Brother Glenn, Allah barik fik, Ya Rab. That's awesome. There's a couple more. Kanaan, mashallah, Muhammad Kanaan, Aisha Crawford, Jazakallah khairan. Basma, Zakaria, Ibrahim, my man. Everyone's showing up. If you haven't promised, I'm going to save this chat and I'm going to come and get that promise from you, inshallah ta'ala. But I want to let you guys know, you guys are an incredible group of people. We're going to do our best to make sure you guys have the most amazing experience. Alhamdulillah, it's not just me or a couple people. There's dozens of people working hard to make this project successful. And by successful, it's that you, after 2.5 months, feel that you have been benefiting from this program immensely. And so the format, as we always, is the first hour and a half, we're going to discuss a content. And then the second part, we're going to go into our communities of practice. For the people that have been here before, can someone courageously volunteer to give us a 1-minute explanation of what a community of practice is? I will open the floor to anyone unmute your mic and let us know.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi.
Should I proceed?
Yeah, yes, you may proceed.
Okay.
Who's that handsome young man, brother Ahmed? How you doing, buddy?
Well, Jazakallah khair. Assalamu alaikum, everybody. It's an honor to be here with you. I was in cohort C, so I'm gonna do my best to explain the COP. The COP is an opportunity for people that have similar interests to get together and really develop a project that answers a question or drives a problem forward or drives us towards a solution to a problem. It's an opportunity to work with your brothers and sisters so that it's not just we're sitting here listening to a wonderful talk together. It's not just a classroom. This is an opportunity to also engage. Everyone here has some level of experience actually being involved. So the idea here is that we want to be able to proceed and work together to really further a vision. And so I think the best opportunity there is to engage on the topics that you're interested in and work together and really see what you can do. Don't underestimate what you can accomplish. I know there were groups during my cohort that did absolutely amazing things. It's really always, one of the coolest parts of Project 100 and one of the most unique parts to see the outcomes of these conversations and discussions and projects. And I think it's something that you should really commit to. And you get, as with everything in Project 100, the one thing I will say is what you put in, you will get out. So if you come dedicated with the intention to benefit, with the intention to really start a transformative process, not just in yourself, but in how you see and interact with the world, with your brothers and sisters, and with everyone, and to really, better embody the vision that the Prophet ﷺ tried to pass down to us in the message. I think this is a great opportunity to do that, and it's a great starting point for taking your involvement in Islamic work. If you're still just starting out, take it that much further, and if you've been doing this for a while, take it to the next level. This is your chance to do that. You've got amazing people from around the country, so many different experiences. This is your opportunity to use that and to drive, an idea forward, and at the very least to have those conversations and grow from them. Jazakumullah khair. That was my long-winded attempt.
Did anyone take notes? Jazakallah khair, Brother Ahmed. I really appreciate it. May Allah bless you. And he's a very good friend of mine. And the beauty is I met him through Project 100. And that's what this is about, connection, exploring each other's interests, collaborating together and growing together, inshallah ta'ala. So I'm going to leave you guys off with this before we transition to our communities of practice. Make it in your intention. I don't want us to discuss Islam. I want us to live Islam. And with that, Adam, let's go ahead and go on to our communities of practice, inshallah.
Rooms are up.
Adam, are you going to make me a host?
Yeah, you're host now.
All right, cool. All right, have fun and creativity, my friend. Get creative.
All right, thanks. Can you add me there?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I can't add myself. And there'd be no host in the main room.
Okay. Add them to creativity. Brother Ibrahim to creativity. Okay.
I think I'll let them start this week, and I'll start joining them for next week, inshallah.
Yes, please, inshallah. Allah barak
Right. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.
Do you like the way this went tonight?
Yeah, I loved it. This was awesome. This was awesome.
We'll be in touch,
inshallah.
Right,
Allah barak Assalamu alaikum. Okay, Akh Samir and Jan, hold on one sec. Let me pull up, see where you guys are. I know you guys are here. Just don't know where. Okay. Ustaz Samir, would you like leadership?
Sure.
All right. Enjoy. You just click on the breakout. And then Sister Jen, I think you are in leadership as well. Awesome. Yeah, 2 for 2. All by myself.